Close your eyes. Close your eyes.
Yo, what's going on, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Sync Zone podcast. I am back, Zone fanfic for boy, here in real time, 4K. All right, 3K technically. Today, we have some things to discuss. There's been a lot to go on in these last few weeks, maybe. What are we talking, months that have just been gone out of action? I might wait for a few people to pop in here before I continue on. I hope the audio is good. Let me check the audio, make sure this is 100% visible. And all right, just give me just a second and we'll continue on. Yeah, I'm thinking about doing it. You guys let me know in the comment section if I should do it. I'm sorry. I haven't even finished dinner yet. I hopped on here. There was a particular situation where I was kind of trying to figure out like what I should do as far as proceeding on. I know a lot is going on. There's been aliens, there's or speculation thereof, right? We got AI. We're if you're in the Discord, you're familiar with how we proceed with that and in future actions, then you know. Of course, as always, make sure to you don't have to like the stream, but hey, join the Discord. Check it out. If you need a link, we'll send a link. And then we can talk about some interesting things. If you know, this anime is just not shonen exclusive. We do all things anime, fiction. Well, not necessarily all things fiction, but maybe we explore a lot of anime and film theory. So if you're interested in that type of thing, and you want to see more, definitely check that out. And I don't know, hit me up. Email should be in the link below. And we can talk about some things. Excuse me, guys. I'm a little dehydrated. I'm not gonna lie. And very hungry. Very hungry. Let's check where we're at on Discord. Sorry if I'm loud, guys. Sorry if I'm loud. Oh, man. So, there's a huge concern today about essentially copyright, right? There's a huge issue going around with YouTube copyright, Twitch, and their terms of service just kind of changing or being altered. For those that don't know, there is a public forum on their actual home sites that actually clarifies what specific changes have been made. This applies to YouTube. Isn't as good as doing this, so sometimes they'll send messages through Google. As you know, they're partnered mutually through Google. They are owned by Google, so a lot of their terms of service and including copyright are essentially coupled with them. Now, as far as the concern with AI, right, in its use case, as far as it taking people's jobs, right, people are concerned about AGI and they don't even know what that is fundamentally, or even know what AI is. Like, they use ChatGPT or Midjourney and they think they know it all, but the truth is it's a lot more to that than you might believe. It's not like these self-reliant, of course these systems, these AI systems require monitoring, right? They have specific tasks and functions they're supposed to do, and they execute, right? If you want to get into the specifics of it, I do have a little bit of familiarity, more so than the average Joe, as so I'm a technician, unlike some other folks that pretend to be technicians. So it's very difficult to have a conversation with those that just kind of pretend to know what they're talking about, right? And there is a certain extent to this point to where I'm not quite sure how to elaborate further, just because AI specifically isn't my area of expertise. Although the issue with that is there's still use case within my field to understand how it's used, right? To understand fundamentally how it works. developing it is a completely different thing, right? Using it and managing it yourself, that is another thing. Those are, even though those they sound exactly the same, those are exact. They're not the same. I mean, really, I'm explaining this to you, but you can just do a quick YouTube search and see, like, okay, what is the difference? What is the difference between, certain roles, responsibilities of said things, right? Whether that's you're talking about cybersecurity, you're talking about systems, or you're talking about I don't know, the cloud, you're talking about AI, quantum computing. These are all topics that we kind of discuss as like a foundation for the channel. It's kind of a niche thing, but it's also not just a niche thing. So if you would like to hear more about that, perfect. Join the Discord. That's all I can say about that. Otherwise, hey, like I said, if you were here a few months back, if you saw the previous video, there's going to be a more of a change for this channel as a whole. So if you're interested to find out like what that change is actually going to be, I would encourage you to look around YouTube, look around Twitch, right? Follow us on Twitter. Join the Discord. Like I said, can't say that enough. I've been told that I have a very soft voice, almost Michael Jackson like, but that's because I'm too old to be trying to raise my blood pressure this high, essentially. So I don't, right? But I have found that there is a certain issue that I wanted to address. And I found it to be extremely consistent. Extremely consistent with certain communities, right? Especially shonen, right? There is a certain lack of understanding, right? Which is understandable, because if you think about it, shonen fans, they're extremely simple people, right? And they're simple-minded, and they do simple-minded stuff, right? They debate, right? They power skill, right? They what else do they do? Somebody name something. Let me see. Let me check out some of the comments to see if anyone else has anything to say about this particular topic. Okay? Because I'm thinking about going in on this video. I'm thinking about going in on this video, and I might be developing some extra energy reserves that I've been hiding. I don't know. I'm too busy nowadays working. I don't even work 9 to 5. I work past that. I work plus 12 hours every single day, and aside from the weekends occasionally. And I also go to school. So my work, compared to your typical and average content creator, is they're not doing what I'm doing. I guarantee you that. They're not doing what I'm doing. They can say they are, but they're not. I put all this hard work in there, but I got widgets on my videos. I got, there's a lack of originality, right? And you can sense it, right? If you really dive deep into someone's channel, you'd be like, oh, okay, their channel seems simple, but if you look at it, they actually put a lot of work behind it. Or, you could grab some widgets, slap it on, I don't know, what do you slap it on, some editing app, right? Movies, what is it called? Fucking, there's so many editing apps. Let me fucking Google some, um, or look at what I have. Editing. Oh, hold on a second. Stay with me. Stay with me now. Okay. Okay. Hmm. All right. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. All right. All right. So look, it's too easy. It's too easy to just open up CapCut, right? Open up DaVinci Resolve, right? Open up Adobe Lightroom, right? iMovie, right? Adobe Photoshop, and just put something together. Sure, it's gonna take you all day. If you like doing like weird, intricate things like that, not weird, but intricate things like that, that's gonna make you look your channel look the way you want it to look. Perfect. Here's where things kind of start to dial back a little bit. And you see a lack of originality, right? Certain content creators, right? I noticed a lot of content creators, they don't even try to copy, right? You'll typically see, especially if someone has the energy and they carry themselves a specific way, like they're super high and mighty, and they have to move with certain people, and they can't have a conversation, right? They can't have a conversation. It's at the end of the day, they are the center of their universe, right? Not their universe, but the universe, right? There's certain self-centered people that you can't necessarily pick up on it right away, right? There's a certain narcissistic tendency, right, that you can see in certain YouTubers that you aren't necessarily sure, are they genuinely a good person? Are they faking like they're a good person? I will tell you straight up, I've done some fucked up shit, right? But I'm not a bad person, right? I'm typically honest in most cases because I have no reason to lie, right? I genuinely have no reason to lie about anything, right? I find that in most cases when you do lie, things catch up with you regardless, right? Which is why I consistently, like, knowing that I am consistently on Discord as much as I am, on social media as much as I am, I know that there is a certain there's a certain energy you have to you not energy, but there's a certain, how do you say, there are certain boundaries that you should not cross, right? Principle wise, but this tends to vary when it pertains to kids, right? So in kids cases, kids don't care. They'll say whatever, right? They will cuss you out, and then they don't know what they're mad about. All they know is that they're mad about stuff that doesn't make sense to them, and they don't want to make it make sense, right? They don't want to understand it, right? Otherwise, and then that's fine. Your frontal lobes aren't developed at age. That makes complete sense. They don't have the attention span. They don't have the capacity to I don't know. I wouldn't say capacity, but they don't have it in them to actually have an adult to adult conversation, and that's fair. But when you equate this to adults, that's when things get a little interesting, right? When adults lack the capacity, right, to have a regular adult to adult conversation, that's when things get a little difficult, right, a little challenging, if you will, right, and you start you you find that there isn't always like people realistically they're investing in a fruitless endeavor when it pertains um to social what would you call social, I don't know, we'll call it a phrase, right? um Disregard that, guys. Yeah, we'll call it a social circle, right? um and these social circles, right, they, you tend to see who's at the center of each of these circles, right, and you find out who specifically are they an honest person, do they pretend to be honest, what are they what why how do they why do they move the way they do, right? And some people are extremely transparent, I find, on the internet, which is nice. But then you get people that are not transparent, and that makes you question why, right? And then you get cases like, I don't know, Six and Mellow, right? You get cases like Naruto Explains and Seth the Programmer, right? Now you could see there is, if you look at both of those from like an external point of view, what it seems like, I will use one of those, right? It seems like we have some honest people against dishonest people, right? And I think that's a huge problem that that we kind of look at it from one point of view, right? Oh, it's not that serious, it's just anime. But then when your attention gets drawn and they allow that to happen, who's at fault for that, right? I would argue that it's both their faults, right? That they involved children in their debacle, and they couldn't reasonably sound this out in the moment, right? And there, of course, may have been some character flaws, right? Some misunderstandings that weren't handled, maybe some wrong moments. But then comes a consistent pattern, right? When you see a consistent pattern, when someone, you might ask them, hey, Joe, Tommy, James, I don't know, yo, I can see this consistent pattern, and you aren't changing anything, right? Well, why is this consistent pattern, why is this consistent pattern, affecting your life like this, right? This is how, and they would say, of course, I don't know, this pattern has nothing to do with me, right? It's your fault for perceiving it that way, right? They're shifting blame. These are narcissistic tendencies, right? Which are extremely difficult to understand when you first encounter people like this, right? And I can't say that I blame them primarily. Actually, I think if you take, it's almost like rapping, right? You decide to invest in an organization, in a business that does not necessarily that you didn't do your research at, right? You didn't do your research and now you are unhappy and you're taking it out on people that don't deserve it. I am guilty of this 100%. And this is why I felt the need to explain this video, right? I'm guilty of this 100%, doing something and investing my time 110%, right? And not getting the desired result that I expected, right? I think that when most people have to realize is that, you know, people are people at the end of the day, right? Excuse me if my mic isn't turned up all the way. People are people at the end of the day, right? Some people, you know, regardless if you feel like people were fundamentally good or bad, people are people. And so to take that and kind of like piece that apart, right? There is not in some people's eyes, there's a lot of people that have a sense of, I wouldn't call it self-importance. I would more so call it a huge ego, right? A huge ego, so huge that they can't be wrong. No, hey, they can't be wrong. They're this person. I'm me. You're you, right? But that's false. That's fundamentally flawed, right? In so many ways. That's a flawed way of looking at things, right? So as far as like, agreeing with that, I'd have to say that I disagree. I disagree in that idea, right? That you can just have this huge ego, right? And not go unaffected, right? Now I'm not saying that I'm gonna be the one to do something, right? But eventually there'll come a time, and you can decide, as an individual, right? Each individual, you can decide, you have the ability to decide whether or not to change who you are today or tomorrow, right? You can decide that, right? Of course you'll mess up a lot, but you can paint that picture out in the world and you can do it. 110% you can do it, right? And this is just another way of life. This is just someone who has gone through a little bit of life, right? Who I'm not necessarily triggered by petty things that go on, especially nowadays, right? You hang out in Discord a lot. You get you eventually come across people that just want to debate, right? People that just want to scale, and that's predominant. That's extremely predominant within shonen community, right? Which is where you find the majority of individuals like this, people that are just now coming across anime, right? People that are new to anime, people who want to be different, right? People that have not understood that you already are different. You don't have to try to be different. You already are. Each person is different in their own way. Not every individual is created the same, right? There is a certain idea that in today's society, you know, you have to try to you know, mess up the competition, and that's, you know, you have to ruin the competition. You have to trample the competition. This type of thinking is catastrophic, right? May work for you in the moment, but if you keep that same mentality with you at all times, what's gonna happen is you're gonna self destruct, and there's no telling if you self destruct a lot or if you self destruct a little bit, right? It's not necessarily you're not gonna be able to predict it, right? But you can put barriers in place. These are logical barriers in place. Yeah, I know some of you guys like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? But look, I'm talking purely like in theory, in theory here, right? It's easier for us to envision a picture if we take actions every day to improve our chances to get to make that picture happen, right? This is obvious, right? YouTube creators, content creators, everyone does. Anyone that has a desire to be successful does this, right? Yeah, right. Although some people get caught up in that, right? They forget that it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, right? And I have to remind myself, even now, it's a constant reminder. This is not about the destination. You know, no matter how great the destination may be, it may not even be that great by the time you get to that destination, especially with all the life that has passed. By the time I was taught something at a very young age, and I think a lot of young people lack these fundamentals, right? So as far as like enjoying like the journey itself, right? That's what anime is about. That's what it's supposed to be about. Although now there's, especially when it pertains to shonen, they tend to recycle the exact same stuff. Older anime creators know this, or not creators, enthusiasts know this, and it's being marketed now. As someone that is familiar with a lot of AI technology, it seems very apparent to me, and I won't necessarily say like some studio, like all studios, but some production studios, not necessarily animation studios, production studios. Excuse me. They use a lot of AI art, right? The simplistic, single line character designs. You know, these designs aren't, you know, I mean, some of them they look like they could be drawn, but others generic AI art that was revised with tools embedded for studio editing, right? And that's not bad. I'd say more so, especially when it pertains to like maybe a few. Or some have openly came out and expressed that like we use AI art for our stuff. Is some of which remain seclusive, right? They you know, they're not as known, but I think when it pertains to, just get back to the point, I think when it pertains to anime creators, and the shonen anime creators, I think that it takes a certain someone to really have a certain line of respect, someone that's able to distance themselves out in a productive and ethical fashion to understand that shonen is not it. Shonen has the same, if you notice, right, and a lot of shonen content creators don't understand this. If you notice, shonen recycles the same shit every fucking anime. Like, how do you not know this, man? Like, it's interesting to know, to understand this. I mean, of course, you get your anomalies, or not your anomalies, your diamond in the roughs that aren't necessarily always your recycled, like yin and yang. You know, yin what's the symbol called? The Daoism ideology, Confucianism ideology, that all kind of intermeshes in a sense when it pertains to a lot of shonen anime, right? Seinen doesn't necessarily have this issue, right? They tend to have better writers, you know. It's just a fact. Excuse me. As far as like debating goes, I don't debate because I find that it's a very easy way to not only ruin your day, but waste time. It's very time wasting when you have to visually. It's just part of the whole psychological game that, content creators have kind of started to derive, they do this to use kids against each other and then create like a what would you call it, like a group, like a stronghold, right? They use these kids to debate against each other about topics, to create like these strongholds and a fan base for themselves, and just to come in, create their own logic, right? Create their own logic, and then reach a certain point, right? Because of course, the pristine editor, right? The pristine, at least this is how some of these folks see themselves, right? Now they'll portray themselves as these modest people, right? No, they're not modest, right? They have no idea what modest is. Maybe they do. Unlikely, right? They're very good at pretending, right? This is what narcissists do, and kids fall for it every single time, right? If you look these terms up, if there's ever a point in my argument where you don't understand a word that I'm saying, look up a word. I encourage you to do so. As far as let's say the Boruto community, right? Because I did a lot of videos about that. They're the same as the One Piece community, and the One Piece community is the same as the Dragon Ball community. They're all people within different communities that all derived from the Dragon Ball community at the end of the day. Sure, there are some, like, I don't know, Hunter x Hunter fans that are like maybe off the rails a little bit. That's not an understatement. I mean, it's there, but they have, typically you'll see like sound knowledge, like why they actually and genuinely like the series, not just because they're convinced that the writing is so great, right? The writing is great. It speaks for itself. If you look at One Piece, the One Piece is very production-esque, right? It's very production-esque. It feels like it's been written by multiple writers. Oda has came out and said this, all right? I'm not here at the moment. I'm on hiatus. It's going to be basically explored by my editors, right? Now, this is what a lot of people and One Piece fans fall for it every single time. Boruto fans, they fall for it every single time. The majority of these people, they're still children. Some of them even watch WWE. Some of them even, I mean, I watch some good isekai every now and then. Don't get down on no hentai, but I at least not anymore. I'm not a teenager anymore, but as far as like the Boruto community goes, it's just one of those communities that just have to go like and eventually find their way into other anime, but they'll always stay in their own bubble, and they'll follow the same artist probably for another 5 years or so, 7 years, however long it takes for the series to end, and then also, you know, for maybe a spin-off of that series to come, or that's what the majority are waiting for right now, a spin-off called Soruto. They just can't get enough of it. The same shit that's recycled. I don't know. I don't get it. But like I said, a lot of these, a lot of these traits of people, they tend to have a simple-minded perspective on anime, right? And that's okay. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying that's a factor that you might consider when just trying to be careful of like who you associate with, right? Who, like, different communities, right, that pretend to put up a facade, right? I'll come and prove to you that I am everything that I claim to be today in my server, right? I doubt very few can do the same, right? It's very difficult to do that. Now, I mean, at least when it pertains to the anime community, I won't. Excuse me, the shonen community, yeah. I think I'm not crowding myself or anything like that. I'm still just a person. I make mistakes, but I find that it's probably time to distance myself away from every possible thing that can give me any sort of brain aneurysms or fucking headaches that are like useless. Like, I find myself like accidentally stepping into debates like today, right? They claimed it wasn't a debate, but they were power scaling, right? This was on Mello's channel, right? This is crazy. And had they given me fair warning first, I would have just backed out. Like, okay, yeah, we're debating power scaling. There's no need to call it a conversation when you're trying to debate something. It's not a conversation. Debating is not a conversation, especially like anime community debating. Not a conversation. There's a certain back and forth when you're speaking over someone. When 50 people are talking over you, that's not a conversation. When you have to bring up things to verify things, that is not a conversation. Is it something that could be effectively used in the form of a debate? Sure. Even the anime debate community is a very special type of community, right? You won't find these people on the streets debating anything realistic, right? They typically don't have any sort of perspectives outside themselves, right? Now that I say this, they might. I don't know. But and this doesn't apply to all Naruto Boruto fans, but it does the large majority. I'd say, like, as far as the OG Naruto fans, they probably have an idea as to like what to expect from the continuation of the BS that Kishimoto has written for the series. It's a production series, just like One Piece. We know this. He essentially expanded on a series, right? And now we're gonna call it fucking foreshadowing, right? Oh, it was foreshadowing when he wrote it right here. But a lot of things that have been foreshadowed have not played out in a proficient amount of time. There's nothing so far that I can say for a fact, oh yeah, that was perfectly written. I like the way you did that. No. You know why? Because the series is trash. I'm sure they'll find some way to kind of like fit in some things to be like, oh yeah, we meant to do this. And they may organize it extremely well to where you might believe it was always meant to be that way and play out that way. But you see how I'm like over engineering this whole thought process? that shouldn't be necessary in your conventional anime. You shouldn't have to think about that in your conventional anime, right? Play out the events you foreshadow, you play it out, right? This is feeling like it's like you're having a team work on it doesn't feel like the individual anymore. It feels like a team of associates, streamlining ideas, putting it down on paper, and pulling out like, hey, well, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. Actually, that doesn't fit within this Excel spreadsheet. Let's go ahead and put that. Let's save that for later, right? And that's not what writing is about, right? At least not for me, right? So to find that there's a certain lack in originality within the board community and popular shonen like Dragon Ball. Oh, Dragon Ball, they came back, it's very difficult to judge Dragon Ball fans because a lot of them are kids. A lot of Boruto fans are kids. But you find that there's still a lot of like Boruto fans that are adults, like myself. I'm still kind of a Boruto fan. Although I feel like a lot of the writing is bullshit. It's purely nostalgic now. Purely for nostalgic purposes. Now go out honestly 100% and say that. If they do something a little interesting, I might take a peek. Maybe. But you won't find me making any more Boruto videos. I might send out a few more tweets. This was more so like a video to kind of introduce and not only like new what the future might hold for AI as far as content creators, copyright and being able to do a job on social platforms. Do I see that being a thing in the future? I don't think I do. I think the idea of copyright, I think it's going to become more misconstrued, right? Actually, I think in a way, there will be certain things you'll have to utilize AI in some fashion, and there'll have to be some type of governance around that, policies around that, TOSs around that, to kind of ensure that you can utilize these technologies in an ethical way to procure an ethical video, right? Now this is what I find with a lot of a few of the content creators that I've spoken very briefly. There's gonna, a lot of people won't necessarily have, I don't think they'll have a YouTube job anymore. We have deepfakes, right? We have we have software that can essentially make your audio, that something that you're recording in a trash can, sound like you're fucking in a 5-star studio. No, I'm not using that right now. I'm streaming, but you could utilize that software on a video currently. So I don't, there are YouTube channels completely dedicated and made off of AI, right? They run deepfakes, right? They, the deepfakes are the ones that are talking, right? They explain the videos, some of which you're familiar with, some of which you're not, and they'll only get better day by day. They're getting better today, yesterday, last week. You didn't even know about it, but today you do. Right now, as far as whether or not these creators should be as passionate, I feel like a lot of creators are understanding. Once you reach a certain like plateau, right? you can kind of make that transition into like, you know, I'm gonna pursue acting or something, or I'm gonna pursue this, or I'm gonna pursue comedy, right? Or I'm gonna pursue rapping, right? But that's after you reach like a certain like stepping stone within YouTube. It's funny to me that you find a lot of these um, content creators are extremely like on edge about I gotta reach 5,000, I gotta reach 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, and they never get to that point. They try years. You know why? Because their foundation has such a difficult time trusting in their um in their what would you say, trusting in their principles, right? They know these people are like, they have like the back of their head like, yeah, this person is, you know, they're chilling all, but they're only chill right now. It's because they're fucking narcissists, bro. Like, you know, I don't know. Um it's it's kind of funny for me because I can see it from my point of view and I can laugh at the end of the day. But in reality, you know, a lot of them are laughing at me. But that's okay, because at the end of the day, I'm gonna continue on with my day. The reason why I decided to make this video today is to publicize it, right? Because you're not aware that what's happening is you're being manipulated not only by YouTube, but, you know, corporations, but you're also being manipulated by content creators. Now, I've explained in a similar fashion. I've given you a few topics to kind of search and explore, right? I've given you, you know, what is a conventional narcissist, right? You know, what are some of the traits? If you go back in the earlier parts of this video, I give you some of the traits, right? Some of the responses, some of the patterns, right? Of these people, right? And, you know, especially within these communities. And I can't say that I'm going to go off and try to flesh out this community single-handedly. I'm not. I refuse to. You know why? Because it's only going to stop when the community itself changes, right? When the work that these series provides, right? They provide a certain level of education within their publication, right? If you look at shonen, seinen, typically you got the younger audience within shonen, right? And then you have certain individuals, like you can kind of test, like when you have certain individuals that are like, you'll ask, hey, like, are you familiar with these shonens? And you don't say shonen or seinen. But you pick certain topics, so you kind of get a feel for like, okay, what is this person or people? What are these people typically are generally interested in, right? I like Dragon Ball. I like Naruto. I like One Piece. Okay, well, tell me something I haven't heard before, right? Tell me something I haven't heard before. Because to me, you sound like everybody else that's just trying to say the exact same shit because you have nothing original to say, right? It sounds like to me you're acting like a pretentious fake technician, right? Someone that their niche, right? Like they have like this profound knowledge of a niche, right? Like it's original to them and they didn't copy it. Like they're not content farmers, right? Right? Like there's certain aesthetics, certain characteristics that a perfectionist understands about a perfectionist, right? There's a certain aesthetic, right? When a perfectionist realizes a perfectionist, You ever heard the term game peep game? This is exactly what I'm talking about, right? Perfectionist understands perfectionists, right? I understand that there are certain people that try to be the best that they can and make sure everything's perfectly procured in this itsy bitsy tiny bubble that they have. But the thing is, it'll never be perfectly procured. And it'll continue to buckle down every single time they succeed. And that's not to like throw shade or say, you know, things good or bad are going to happen. That's just life. Life happens, right? But you are more likely to experience issues when you're dishonest, when you're a narcissist, right? When you claim to be modest, but you're not, right? When you have certain debates with people who also call you a fake person that claims to be modest, right? Now, you're very good at trying to appear like you have this side of balance, right? But you can see it in your teamwork, right? You can see it in your dream work, right? You can see it in your dream work. That it's not checking out the way you thought it would, right? Your team. You're building multiple teams. You're trying to branch off to new teams. You're talking shit about your team, and then the next day, because it's all about money, right? It's all that people care about is money. At the end of the day, there's a certain characteristic that of course things are going to be about money. I had this conversation about this the other day, right? Corporations, people care about money, right? If you want to make money, you got to do things to make money, right? But then there's also, why do you do it, right? Why do you really do it? If you tell me you do it for me, that's bullshit, because you don't even know me, right? And you should understand the moment you hear some bullshit like, oh yeah, I'm doing it for you. That's bullshit. That's bullshit, you know? That's something a narcissist would tell you, that they're doing something for you, right? Oh, I'm doing a video for you. Oh, I'm doing this certain idea for you. No, they're doing it for them. At the end of the day, this only benefits them. It gives you maybe a little bit of clout within their bubble, which is now your bubble because they include you. But the moment that you do something brash, right, or you don't like them, right, they exclude you from that bubble, which is a smart thing to do. Sure, very smart thing to do. Now I left certain servers today within the anime community. And I find that it's way easier to be peaceful when you don't have a bunch of kids trying to iterate the exact same logic, right? The exact same principles. Not saying that they're wrong or always wrong, right? Because there are some times that I'm wrong. I accept that, right? But then you have the you have these, like a posse almost, right? You have a group of people that they have a certain groupish appeal, right? Now, as far as excuse the terminology, as far as like the them kind of like repeating the exact same things that content creators within their communities would also do. I actually encourage people to not repeat what I said. Sure, you can talk about it, but talk about it in a way that kind of changes it and also explores it a little bit more or challenges it in a way that is constructive, right? Because those things, that sentence, those sentences that I just said, they all matter within their own context or within the grand context, right? That is, don't be a follower, man. Be a leader, right? If someone does something wrong, you say, hey, that just stop it, right? Or that shit's not right, right? But at the end of the day, a lot of these communities, knowing myself in my sole desire to save people, I find that a lot of these communities endeavors that I do, I tend to dive into communities that are self-destructive by nature, right? These communities that self-destruct, or whether that's multiple times or one big time, right? But and I'm sure these communities will reach their goal of your anime empire eventually, maybe, if AI doesn't take over the copyright, right? And but we'll only see a few years from now. I don't see much content creating happening as much, at least not on a professional scale, right? You'll probably have to have a team, a legal team, to understand the intricacies of how these tools play out, and I think it'll happen overnight. But if you're interested in more of my videos and you want to see more, go ahead and check out my channel, join the Discord. If you like the video and you want to see more, who did we pack up? My 5 minutes to fame? Should I pack them up? Who did I pack up? That's the answer, right? That's the question. Who did I pack up, right? There's a certain modest person, right? Or someone who claims to be. And today, I really didn't have that much energy. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't have that much energy. It's been a long day. But as far as who did I pack up, I'll leave that for you to decide. I was gonna put them on a thumbnail, but realistically, I probably won't care about this tomorrow. So yeah, be careful who you be careful. Check out other things within the world. It's a beautiful time to be alive. You're able to explore different anime. I'd say if you're in these anime communities that I mentioned before, I would encourage you to really dive deep into other anime, right? Even if that's for some people, they kind of live off of this pattern of yeah, I watch these anime and then they get stuck in a pattern, right? It's no fault of their own. It just happens, right? They're incapable of exploring anything. They click on a video or a recommendation, they just I don't want to watch this. And it's because of how they kind of program themselves. They entrap themselves in their own bubble of repeatable actions, right? So when it pertains to these people that have these issues, that are narcissists, that claim to be mellow, that claim to be modest, what happens is they self-destruct, and there's nothing that I need to do. But yeah, definitely check out more of the videos. Follow us on all social platforms, and yeah, we'll see you next time, travelers. Peace.